Alright, we should be live. We're back. We're working on Teval, Arbiter of Virtue. Here she is in case you need a reminder of how she works. And we got it under 200 spells last time, so we have 197 spells left, and we need to get that number down to 60, counting Teval herself. 137 cards need to be cut. And we have all of, 2 weeks, roughly, to do it. Sorry, my allergies are acting up, and I'm usually a bit, raspy and whatnot to begin with, so bonus points for this one. Alright, we made, I don't even know how many sublists, I think 5 or 6 at this point, to try and help narrow down things that are redundant in Teval that we don't need every single copy of. Here, I kind of want to go to the bottom, though, and work my way up, because I usually start at the top, work my way down, and then restart at the bottom and work my way back up again, so let's start at the bottom and work our way up and see if there's anything that stands out as, yeah, I can cut that at this point. And we'll start looking at the sublists again. Sludge Titan mills a bunch whenever it does anything. Amzu rewards us for cards leaving the graveyard. Bloodsucker gains us life, which rewards us for gaining life. Alpha Deathclaw is one of our removal spells. Scorch Beast rewards us for getting milled. Card of the Nightbringer gains us life and makes opponents lose life. Mortarion rewards us for losing life. Sakaran Infiltrator lets us draw a lot of cards, potentially. And for every 2 cards we exile from our graveyard, we get to draw another one with it, so. Lord of Change just draws us 3 cards. It's basically Treasure Cruise, but for 1 less mana with a 6/6 flying Ward 3 attached to it. It's still possible that's one of the cards that goes. Colossal Grave Reaver is a self-mill and reanimator. Devil's Judgment rewards us for cards leaving the graveyard. I should probably not describe every single card, because I've already done this at least once before, when we had way more cards on the list, and, you know, so it's a little scratchy right now anyway. Alright. Card draw token. Land ramp and zombie maker. Animator, life gain. Kills our opponents based on doing the thing that we're doing anyway. Our wrath effects. Astral Dragon can be cut, but the problem is that it's so good just in general, and with us being able to effectively ramp into it with no cards in the graveyard, it doesn't have to copy anything too crazy to be incredibly powerful. But if it hits something like our Exquisite Blood, where we just gain 3 times as much life as damage we deal, for example, that will keep us flush in life for Teval's only real drawback. Skeleton Crew is one of the better things leave my graveyard. I get bodies, because it buffs those bodies and can itself come back from the graveyard, so. Now, granted, it won't make a skeleton when it does that, because it has to be in play to see the cards leaving the graveyard. Coven. Possible we don't need Willow Dusk. Willow Dusk is really good with the lifelink effects, especially Teval's is the biggest issue. Also, she's one of our cheaper creatures, so... Maybe Ikra isn't good enough at her job. Yeah, that's the biggest problem. Everything on the list works in the deck, and it's just a question of, well, how many things do I need in each category? Every single one of these cards is actually worth the slot in the deck, I feel like, but we just don't have room for everything, and so we have to get rid of a lot of stuff in order to make room. Like, it's possible we just get rid of Ugin. Like, he's powerful. 7 mana, exile anything, basically, except for colorless cards. And then every time I cast a colorless spell after that, he gets to do it again. And he gains life and draws me cards. Like, literally everything about him is on theme with this deck. In that he's a removal spell that then draws me cards and gains me life, and sometimes causes more removal spells to happen because of that. But he's not entirely on theme. Like, we don't have a ton of colorless cards. So he's more like Karn Liberated. Like, if I leave him in the deck, maybe I need to remove Karn Liberated then. Because he's also 7 mana and can kill almost any permanent. Ugin's a bit more restricted on what he can kill, but he can also do it a little more consistently. Like, Karn has to take every other turn off in order to build back up the loyalty necessary to kill a thing. Ugin doesn't have that, but if I don't have a colorless spell, it doesn't matter if his loyalty is up. He won't be able to kill a thing. Yeah, they're both good for different reasons. Like, maybe I keep both of them and lose something like Alpha Deathclaw then? Which can only kill 2 permanents. At most. Yeah, I'm not even sure, to be honest. Some amount of stuff just has to go, and... Do I lose Dredger's Insight? It feels like I should keep Dredger's Insight over, like, Mental Note or something, but... It could be Glarb, but Glarb can mill me too. Without... And can make sure that I'm milling stuff I don't... Like, if I needed something on top, I don't have to mill it. And then lets me cast most of my spells off of the top, let's be honest. Like, a lot of my stuff costs 4 more mana. Yeah, we are at the point where every single card still on this list has an argument to be made for staying on the list, and it's 137 cards over our target number. And I'm stuck here with decision paralysis because any single card can come out, But once I start pulling things out, then I'm losing all of these things. So it becomes, well, what am I keeping then, and why am I keeping these cards over those cards? Like, and I don't have a clear answer for any of that, is the problem. Like, do I cut down the reanimator spells to like 2 or 3 and just cut the rest of them because they're strong in the deck, but it's not actually the focus is to bypass the casting cost on stuff, it's to actually take the hit and cast it? Do I remove some of the random weaker life gain? Like, do I lose Bastion of Remembrance and Meathook Massacre then? Maybe. Genuinely, maybe. Like, I'm trying to find cuts here. That's true. Bastion is 1 life when my creatures die, but I'm not straight up, whatchamacallit, like an Aristocrats deck. I can't just sacrifice my creatures because I want to. There are 3 instances of Meathook in here. Is it under life gain and removal? Yep, there it is under removal. Is it also under life gain? And so I get rid of it. Get rid of the Bastion too. Back to Ikoria. Goes off. Conrad, Oko, Murray. Yeah, Karn Great Creator is not really on topic for the deck. And I do not have room for him right now, so let's get rid of him. Like, he's just generically powerful against certain strategies. So that's neat and all. Kind of have to make room. There's Kanta, Noxious Gearhulk. Scourge needs to be Mistmoon Griffin, but that doesn't get it off of the list. That just changes what it is. I think we got rid of Analyze the Pollen finally yesterday. Have a bunch of card draw and a bunch of self-mill, so maybe we just lose the Forgotten Creation. Also, while we can play lands from the graveyard with some of our card effects, I'm not even sure all 3 of them are going to make it to the end, so maybe the Gitrog Toad can go. Sorry, Gitrog. Alright, Grave Betrayal amuses me, but I'm looking for cuts, and we have better stuff than this, like more impactful stuff the turn that we cast it than this thing. Metamorph, Tarn Liberated, Beast Within, Batterskull. Is Batterskull too low impact as just a 4/4 lifelink where the equipment can be moved around later? Like, we already have Basilisk Collar and Shadow Spear. And the Whip of Erebos giving our things lifelink. Yeah. Okay. Essence Warden itself too low impact. Prosperous Innkeeper is only my creatures, right? Another creature I control enters, so we really do want Essence Warden if we're going to bother with this type of effect to gain all of the life, because I don't really need the treasure. Maybe I need a sublist of the big dumb things I'm ramping into, so that way I can look at each one of them individually and see if they are the best fit for the deck. Also possible I lose Tooth and Nail. We already lost Defense of the Heart, but that one takes a turn cycle to pop off. Tooth and Nail is immediate, assuming that we can resolve it. It'll just drop the two biggest things from my deck directly into play. Traumatize, Time Stretch, and Pernicious Deed. Yeah, maybe we do lose Stone Calendar. It is actually more potent in this deck than it would be in other decks that are trying to throw like giant haymakers, but just don't feel like I have room at this point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright. It's down to 189. Second. Alright, I doubt that got rid of all of it, but hopefully actually hacking up a lung does some amount of work. Alright, let me look at my reanimator spells. Because I'm wondering if we can just ditch some of them. Yep, didn't think it was gonna last that long, but it's life gain. This is self mill. Yeah, there we go. An entire section on getting things back from the graveyard. Like, we don't have a ton of cheap creatures, so Victimize could probably go. It's still not terrible with all of our big creatures, like trading one big creature for two other big creatures, especially if we've gotten whatever ability off of the initial big creature. Yeah, we have a lot of things that can just pull stuff back from the graveyard. I don't know that we need all of it. I am wondering if we lose like the Vein Witch Coven. Which of the Moors is also killing our opponent's stuff? It does only trigger at my end of turn though, whereas the Vein Witch can trigger whenever I gain life. But the Witch of the Moors is also killing an opponent, like each opponent's creature, like whatever their worst thing is in their opinion. Whereas the Vein Witch is just giving me the creature back, and as I take the creatures back, I'm going to have to recast them and take the big hit again for casting them, in theory, so. Now, granted, I'm getting them back because I gained life, so that shouldn't be too much of an issue, but. Maybe Vein Witch Coven goes because it's regrowing the creature, and it like it itself does not have lifelink, and it's not. I just don't think it's doing enough, and I need cuts. I don't even know how much I actually need to justify this one. We need cuts. We have so many other ways to get things back at this point. I think we need that one also that badly. Maybe we also lose Necromancy at this point. That still leaves us with like Animate Dead, Persist, and Reanimate to get back something from the graveyard directly into play. Without it being at any risk of going away and without having to actually cast it. Like, say, Whip of Erebos or Muldrotha, or the randomness of Deadbridge Chant. I'd rather have, like, the Null Priest of Oblivion than any of these, because it's also a 2-1 lifelink menace creature at that point, so might actually gain life randomly back from it. Also, it's most of its casting cost is in the kicker cost, so. In fact, maybe we lose Persist also. This leaves us with Animate Dead and Reanimate. Two best ways to do that. And things like Rise of Dark Realms, but that's more about grabbing everything all at once. Having a massive impact on the board. Also, we do technically have Diregraph Rebirth. It's good because it casts from the graveyard. It's bad because it has such a high casting cost compared to the other ones. Like, maybe I get rid of that one also. I have so many ways to potentially get things back. I don't need all of them. In fact, I can't run all of them is the problem. Like, the Metamorphosis Fanatic is nice because when we get it back, we get something else back also. And it has lifelink and it gives that thing lifelink, so even after taking the 6 damage, it's probably still going to give us enough lifelink bodies. That should undo all of the damage. Few cards are on this list because they also do other things like Awaken the Honored Dead or Portal to Phyrexia. Maybe it's Rise of the Witch King. It's really cool that I get a permanent back as long as I lost a creature, but it is only 4 mana. That thing is super tempting to just leave in the deck. Like, it has so much raw power potentially, and we make a ton of random bodies to throw away to it also. We have multiple different things that make a 2/2 creature if either a creature or just any card leaves our graveyard, depending on the card, so not that hard for us to have a few bodies lying around. Alright. Graph Rebirth. Assist. Real quick. Victimize and Necromancy. Five. Well, if nothing else, we got over 10 cards off of the list today. But we can do better. Let's take a look at some of the other lists and see what we can get rid of. This is the card draw one, and this is the first one, right? Oh no, hang on. We've got ramp also. Alright, so we already killed the stone calendar. Here's Lore, Oracle, Moldiah, Binding. We got rid of Accomplished Alchemist already. Awaken the Woods. Don't really need that much ramp. Possible we lose Silvala also. We don't need that much ramp, and we also don't have that much ramp that isn't doing other stuff for us. Already lost Time Spiral under card draw. Memory Jar. Scour, Forgotten Creations gone, so's Gitrog. Atris already. I almost definitely want to keep Frantic Search, because exiling 2 cards from the graveyard and getting, like, access to more colored mana is going to be very helpful at some point in time. Well, that sounds kind of vague. I do believe that that is one of the stronger things about this deck, is that if it can just generate enough colored mana, it can cast all of its spells. So we just need more ways to generate colored mana for it. Shredder. Out of all of my card draw spells, the Shredder is fine, but not amazing in the deck. Yeah, maybe we do lose the Ledger Shredder. can be the Infiltrator, although I do really like in the deck. It can be Lord of Change. I don't know why I'm bothering to throw in, but I like it in the deck. I like literally everything still on the list in the deck. So redundant at this point. Point out how much I actually like the idea of the card being in the deck. Alright, what are the bigger card draws? We have Windfall, Factor Fiction, Invasion of Rin, Focus the Mind, River Regent's Adventure, Path of the Enigma, Will of the Temor, Lord of Change, and Sakaran Infiltrator. Alright, that's almost 10 big card draw spells, and we do not have room for all of them, so... Alright, I'm starting to think we lose Factor Fiction. God, that feels terrible. Alright, if we don't lose Factor Fiction, I have to lose some of this. So if we keep Factor Fiction, I need to lose maybe Invasion of Rin, possibly Focus the Mind. Okay, let's lose Focus the Mind. Do like Path of the Enigma. Demon is probably better. Barang is more versatile. I have the casting cost here. There should be 3 in a blue. Uh, maybe lose the Invasion of Rin then. All Frantic Search. Factor Fiction. You really like Collector's Vault. Being able to draw a new card, put something else that I don't need in the graveyard to help fuel things, and making the treasure all at the same time seems way too good to cut. But isn't that the issue with almost everything still on this list? Is that it's too good to cut? The Path of the Enigma, because all it's doing is drawing cards. It is blue and 4 to draw 4 cards, which is one of the better rates that we have, but like, the demon is a giant body that's drawing me cards and then threatening to kill the opponent. So, and it's a good target for things like Whip of Erebos and Reanimator. Yeah, I'd rather keep the Lord of Change at that point. Alright, let's come down here to the removal and interaction, because, again, we have way too many cards on the list. Alright, what are my catch-all kill a single permanent? Beast Within, Arn Liberated, Lamog, Assassin's Trophy, Casualties of War, Binding of the Old Gods, Mortality Spear, Tear Asunder, Cityscape Leveler, Urgent Necropsy, Drag to the Roots, Waken the Honor Dead. Yeah, I'm already at 12 just for the things that can kill basically any permanent. Ugin, Meteor Golem, Alpha Deathclaw. I'm at like 15. Alright, I think we lose the Meteor Golem. While it is the easiest one to cast, it's also like either smaller than all of the other ones or uh, higher casting cost or both total. So the Urgent Necropsy isn't worth it. Ooh, excuse me. It is so strong though. Could be the Cityscape Leveler, like we already have Ulamog. We actually need Leveler also, and Portal to Phyrexia. It's possible the portal goes. It's not amazing as removal. Like, yes, it makes them sack 3 things, so if they have like one dire threat, they can have up to 2 other random bodies in play and still not be able to protect their guy. But I have so much targeted removal and so many other reanimator effects. Maybe Portal Phyrexia can just go then. Incredibly powerful, but a lot of things on this list are, and I really desperately need to make room for stuff. Maybe with all the other ones that just kill stuff in multiple colors, we don't need Beast Within specifically. Just lose that one because we don't need to give them a 3/3. It's possible that Leveler should also go. Like, we have a bunch of other incredibly dangerous things to reanimate, and this one has to either be cast or attack, like it does not have a comes into play ability, so maybe we lose Cityscape Leveler too. Already went through this list, but if I see anything on this pass, alright, getting rid of Portal, get rid of it from here also. Self-mill. Buried Alive, Intuition, Factor Fiction, Entomb, Mental Note, Grave Troll, Hedron Crab, Thought Scour, Dead Bridge, Sidisi, Azcanta. So much self-mill. Alright. I think the self-mill list needs to get trimmed down next, but let's get rid of all these things first. So, Ledger Shredder. On. Focus the Mind. So gone. Bryn. Gone. Uh, Meteor Golem. Then roll. Alright, we get rid of this one. That should just leave the 3 portal sets. Right? Within. Escape. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Come up here. Go down to 176. Oops. 76. We delete you off the list and make sure I didn't cut anything before Ledger Shredder. Okay. It's hiding off this bottom of the thing. Alright. We're somewhere around 20 cards cut now. Back down here, though, let's... Already cut Vampire Nighthawk, and I just saw it, I thought. Lifelink section. Or maybe I saw Nighthawk Scavenger. Yeah, okay, I saw Nighthawk Scavenger. It's still technically on the list, I believe. Alright, self-mill cards, because there are a whole lot of those. I keep seeing Bond of Insight, and I keep thinking I can cut it, so I'm going to, because I think we need it that badly. Cameo's still a maybe. Maybe we don't need Cemetery Tampering. It's milling me 3 every turn, but we're also eating our graveyard, so getting 20 cards into the graveyard is nearly impossible. So whatever we hide away underneath it is almost never getting cast. Like, if I actually ever have 20 cards in my graveyard, it's probably because I traumatized myself first in order to set up a big turn from Teval, and then I'm going to start eating the cards out of the graveyard at that point anyway. Like, it might also be Search for Azcanta because of that. Like, I will have 7 cards in my graveyard fairly often. Getting 20, though, is going to be borderline impossible without not casting things or not exiling from the graveyard. And if I'm doing that, then I don't feel like I'm actually playing the deck correctly. The Smuggler Surprises, not the best. Like, every mode on it is a thing that the deck would like, but yeah, the regrow is from among the milled cards. I actually have to have the creatures in my hand for the tooth and nail type effect, and yeah, all the modes are fine, but none of them are great, so you do lose Smuggler Surprise then. possible since I lost a bunch of the reanimator cards that we can just lose, like Buried Alive specifically, and maybe even the Lotus Light Dancers. I still want Entomb because A, it's 2 cards into the graveyard for Teval to exile the Entomb and the card that I put in there. And B, I can Entomb anything, so if I have any way to interact with my graveyard and I need a card, it's a tutor. Whereas Buried Alive costs more mana and only puts creatures in, so... Yeah, maybe we lose the Lotus Light Dancers also. They are a decent lifelink creature is the only thing. But they're not great at attacking as a 3/6 with no other abilities. and putting the cards into the graveyard. Yeah, if I'm losing the reanimator effects for the most part, then being able to put the cards from my deck directly in the graveyard is less important as to specific cards and more about volume. Like, I do think we keep Entomb because it's so efficient. But for the most part, I'm just trying to get volume of cards into graveyard for Teval. The things that help with that are probably a lot more valuable. Alright, let's get rid of these. So, Bond of Insight. Another Bond of something. Or it could just be Bond of Insight is in another section, too. Oh, it's in the Reanimator section because it pulls things back from my graveyard to my hand after milling. That makes sense. Buried Alive, gone. Surprise. Which does make me sad because that only leaves 3 steps ahead now as the last, whatchamacallit, Spree card on the list. Spree is a good way to abuse Tevil's ability. Get the Lotus Light Dancers? I don't think I did. I think I jumped all around this list for some reason. This is also on the list twice or something. Or I have another Lotus. Oh, do I still have a Lotus Petal? No. Oh, they're under life gain because they're a lifelink creature. Alright, 5 more cards. Brings us down to 171. So clear that off. Alright, we're at the 50-minute mark. Let's take one quick pass through the rest of the list real quick. You don't need Dark Ritual. Dark Ritual is real good, though, for getting Tevel out a couple turns earlier and being a card in the graveyard to then immediately help cast a spell. Follow up Tevel. Might still be worth cutting, though. to think about it some more. I know we cut Lotus Petal because that was only 2 mana total. Whereas the Dark Ritual is functionally 3 with Teval. I keep saying Intuition, I'm like, I want to cut it, but I also want to cut it because Gifts Ungiven is legal again, and I want to just swap them. And that's more the reason why I want to cut it than because I actually don't want the effect in the deck at all. 3 Factor Fiction, still a potential cut. Alright, as entertaining as the idea of Lifelink Plague Spitter is, I think it just kind of has to go. I think it's been on the list longer than it should have been. Just because I'm so enamored with the idea of giving it lifelink and gaining arbitrarily huge amounts of life every turn. Honestly, I don't think I have room for it. And I have so many creatures in the deck that can pick up lifelink and just do a ton of work anyway. I don't need this thing also. Possible it's Bloodchief Ascension. It does drain once it's online, and I definitely want opponents to lose 2 or more life in a turn. Because if they're not losing life, then how am I gaining life? Bloodchief Ascension only my turn? Like, are things like Polluted Bonds actually going to... Beginning of each end step, so yeah, cards like Polluted Bonds will, in fact, help that thing get online faster, so yeah. Yeah, okay, I'm keeping it for right now. Worm Coil Engine isn't good enough. It's a 6/6 lifelink that dies into a 3/3 lifelink. And, you know, also has Death Touch and makes a 3/3 Death Touch. Yeah. And it still might not be good enough. Erebos. Mercer of Kruphix. All stuff I'm trying to keep. Hunger, Void Winnower. Yeah, I might need a list of like high impact, high casting cost creatures to make sure that the ones I'm running actually are the high impact ones and I'm not just throwing in things because they sound cool. And the idea of actually cheating them into play ahead of schedule is like, oh yeah, no, this will be great. And it's like, yeah, maybe great is a bit of an exaggeration. It'll be good. But great might be wishful thinking. Could definitely be doing better. Scavenger is not good enough. Scavenger at least can have a very high power, and it's based on opponent's graveyard, so I don't have to worry about shrinking it by eating all of my stuff. And I can mill everybody with some of my cards. Excuse me. Volo can potentially go, but with me eating the cards out of my graveyard is a lot more likely, even with overlap in my creatures, that casting something with Volo out will give me two of it. I do have a lot of non-legendary creatures that don't have like great overlap, like Archon of Cruelty, for example. It's the only Archon in the deck. I only have a handful of Eldrazi, so things like Void Winnower would get a backup copy. Because it's like that, and Ulamog are like the only two to begin with. There are a fair number of dragons, though. Most of my Phyrexians are legendary. Yeah, maybe Volo still goes. Not because he can't trigger, but because I do have a decent amount of legendary creatures. There is some overlap on the creature type, so I will have to eat them specifically out of the graveyard. Also, I don't think, with the way he's worded, I can eat the card out of the graveyard and then have him trigger, because I think you announce the spell, then pay costs, but I'm not sure if they're gone in time by the time I put the spell on the stack. I guess it's a cast trigger, so I have to have cast it and therefore have paid for it, but even then, like, even if I can eat specifically the card out of the graveyard that has the overlapping card type, yeah, maybe we just lose Volo. I'm hurting for cuts anyway. If he's not great in the deck, then maybe he just needs to go. Yeah, we're at the point where it's like, all of these cards are good. Which ones are not great? And not utilitarian enough where I can just cut them out of the deck and the deck's not going to suffer significantly for having lost them. Yeah, I do still like Valgavoth, even if I'm not probably casting any of the stuff that he's stealing. I still can, like, you know, taking 10 damage to cast an opponent's stolen 5-drop is very doable in the deck, especially with a 9/9 and a 6/6 both flying and lifelink hanging out together. But it is a bit rough. And I have a lot of other powerful big creatures. Maybe we just lose Valgavoth. Yeah, he's strong, but a lot of my things are strong. And again, I kind of just need the cuts. Alright, we're just about at the hour mark now, so we'll cut these three. Pretty sure Valgavoth made it onto the lifelink section. Yeah. Wait, we have another Valgavoth? Oh, okay. Oh, it's in his own game text, right? For some reason, I said instead of saying this card, this when this deals damage or whatever. So 1, 2, 3. All right, 168. So we only need 108 more cuts. It was a very productive session, at least. Like, we cut almost 30 cards off the list. So we are making progress, and that's a good place to finish with where I started at today. Yeah, where I'm just sitting there going, I can't cut any of these. Like, All of these are valid options to cut and valid options to keep, and I just can't decide. So the fact that we crossed about 30 cards off the list is really good. 28 or something, 27. Alright, so we call it there for right now. I'll be back on later doing some drafts, but that's going to do it for me for right now. So thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Have a good rest of your day.